Hey, what's going on out there? I would like to welcome every single one of you to Water Your Soil. So before I get into this video, I would like to say, if you're new around here, I have two rules over at this channel. The first rule is for you to always use your own discretion when it comes to credit scores and credit cards. The second rule, that's for you to always verify whatever it is you learn, whether it's here on this channel, another channel, or anywhere. That should be a rule of life. So getting into the video, this video right here is going to be about some devastating news, and it's impacting so many Americans right now. And it's regarding a new article that came out the other day. It was released on Newsweek.com. So without wasting any time, I'm going to get right into the news article. It says credit scores are plummeting for student loan borrowers, and this was released on February 22nd. And as I stated, it was released on Newsweek.com. Now, the way how credit score news works over here and news in general is I'll read off the article and then I'll give my perspective afterwards. Now, when it comes to this specific article, I'm going to read off the important parts. I'm also going to highlight one story in here. There's many stories in this article, which is why I encourage you all to go and stop by and read the article after you're done watching this video. I'll have the link in the description box. I always put the link in the description box. That way you could check it out and you could give it a read, because there are some interesting stories in this article in relation to how people credit scores have been impacted. So let's get further into the article. It says student loan borrowers are seeing their credit scores drop sharply after loan servicers began reporting delinquencies because of missed payments. Several affected people told Newsweek. Now, this is what it's about. This is about people being impacted now in regard to their credit score because of missing student loan payments. And on this channel, I've talked about student loans and student loan payments for years, for a couple of years now. During the pandemic, I was really talking about it. And back then, I used to tell people, hey, while it's no interest on loans, make sure you are paying on the principal, because that way you'll be able to chop down on your balance. And that wasn't the only reason why I was telling people that. I was also telling people that so they'll be in the habit of already paying on their student loans and knowing that they have to look towards that every month on a month-to-month basis. So I was telling them for those two reasons. Number one, to chop down on their balance, if not pay it off all the way. And number two, so they'll already be in the habit of making those payments, because as you're going to learn in this article, when people decided to not continue on with making their payments and they used the opportunity to do other things and they forgot about student loan repayments starting back up, they ended up in some trouble and it impacted credit scores. And you're going to learn that in this article. So let's get right into it. It says, they said they were unaware they had missed payments until they were notified by third-party agencies that their credit scores had dropped by as much as 200 points and are worried by what it may mean for their financial future. Some said they had not received any communication from Nelnet, their loan servicer, that loan repayments had resumed or they had payments that were past due. Others have shared similar experiences on social media in recent days, but it wasn't immediately clear how many borrowers have been affected. Newsweek contacted Nelnet and the Department of Education, DOE, for comment via email. This situation is a major problem. It really is, because I could get on here and I could be like, hey, I told people make sure that they're making their payments, but really the damage is already done and people's scores are dropping 200 points. And that's ridiculous, because you have some people who are going from the 800s or the upper 700s and they're dropping down to the 600s and the 500s. And that's not a good thing, because as you see where things are currently headed with the economy, you're going to need your credit score. And having your credit score just drop 200 plus points out of nowhere, that can't be good for anyone. And we're going to get further into the article, which reveals why it matters. So let's get right into it. It says why it matters. Credit scores are based on your credit history and range from 300 to 850. Factors that are frequently used to calculate it include bill payment history, length of credit history, current unpaid debt, and if you have had debt sent to collection, foreclosure, or bankruptcy. Credit scores above 670 are considered good, and credit scores above 800 are considered excellent. Your credit score helps lenders assess the likelihood that you will repay loans on time. It can determine whether you can get a credit card, buy a house, rent an apartment, start a business, and more. A low score can lead to difficulty getting approved for loans or limit choices to those with unfavorable terms or higher interest rates. I think that's kind of obvious. I mean, this is a channel that likes to focus on credit cards and credit scores and teaching people about how credit scoring works and how you could take advantage of credit cards to help your credit score. I think people are aware of that, so I think people are aware why it matters. The problem that you're going to see if you read this article, and I'm about to read one of the stories out of the article because, as I stated, there are numerous stories which I want you all to read on your own because I'm not going to read all of the stories, but the story that I'm about to read, you'll see that the person takes accountability. They admit that they moved multiple times and they did not make their payments because they stated the loan company reached out to them, but they thought it was just a regular spam call. So we're going to get right into this story, and then after that, I'm going to give my perspective why this is devastating for so many people, because honestly, people have adjusted to not paying student loans. And I don't like to make excuses for people because I don't like people to make excuses for me. It really sucks that people didn't take out the time to continue to make their payments. As you're going to see in this story that I'm about to read, this guy, he actually did have the income to make his payments, but according to the article, he moved a lot and he ignored the phone calls because he thought they were spam. So we're going to get into his story. It says, "My credit is ruined. Roman Henry, a 31-year-old IT specialist based in Georgia, told Newsweek that he only learned his loans were serviced by Nelnet after receiving an email from Experian, a credit reporting agency, on Tuesday that told him his score had dropped from above 800 to 608. Henry said he immediately called Nelnet and his loans have been placed in forbearance. It says, quote unquote, "I will resume making payments in May 2025 and I have no issue paying moving forward," he said. "The issue is now my credit is ruined. I had perfect credit, an 800 plus score across all bureaus. My debt to income ratio is excellent. I have never missed a car loan payment, rent, utility bill, credit card payment." Henry acknowledged that he should have stayed up to date with what was happening with his student loan payments, but is frustrated that he didn't receive the required communication from Nelnet, including notifications when his payments were 30 and 60 days past due. It says, quote unquote, "After logging into Nelnet, my email on file was outdated. My mailing address was outdated as I have moved 6 times since 2020, he said. "Looking back, I did receive a couple of phone calls from what I now know to be Nelnet, but I never answered as I believed them to be one of the 10 plus spam calls I received daily." Honestly, that's unfortunate for Roman because Roman sounds like someone who's responsible. He stated he never misses payments. However, he didn't reach out to inquire who he should be making his student loan payments to, as well as when he should be making them. I'm gonna be honest with you all. If you know that you owe someone, whether it's a bank, a person, whoever it may be, it's your responsibility to keep track of that. Depending on them to contact you, which they're probably going to do, but depending on them to contact you is not a good idea because you could end up in a situation like this. And as I always tell you, make sure you all stay on top of who you owe, when you owe them, and how much you owe them. And one of the ways you do that is by your credit report. You could go to my FICO, you could go to annualcreditreport.com, you can even go to creditkarma.com, and those sites will let you at least see your credit report to see what accounts are on there so you can at least see who you owe. But annualcreditreport.com is probably the best option where you could download all 3 of your credit reports from Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. That way you can see who you owe, how much you owe, and when you need to be paying them. You want to stay on top of these things, especially student loans. So if you're watching this and you're someone who took out a student loan, make sure you are making your payments on time and make sure you are aware who you owe those payments to. because as you see, the repayments have started back up. So you want to be careful, and you don't want it impacting your credit score in these next couple of years, because as I always say, people are going to need their credit scores. People could come by and leave messages and comments and say cash is king all they want, but it's good to have a good credit score, at least as a plan B option. So I just wanted to share this article with you all. Hopefully everyone that's listed and named in this article does turn their situation around. You never want to see things like this where people are impacted negatively when it comes to their credit score, because the people in this article, they took some heavy hits. I'm talking about a 200+ point decrease. So you don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And I know a lot of you out there don't want to see that as well. But anyways, if you're new around here and you feeling the vibe, this is Water Your Soil. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on all notifications, that way you don't miss a future video, because I post often. That's clicking on the bell and selecting all. Also, this goes to every single one of you watching right now, my subscribers included. Be sure to hit the like button. It literally takes 1 second. Hit the like button. That's your way of showing the algorithm that you support this video and this channel. Once again, I appreciate every single one of you for stopping by and showing love. This is Water Your Soil, and I'm out. Hey, what's going on? This is Nell from Water Your Soil. So as someone who went from a 549 credit score all the way up to the 800s, I decided to share the same information that helped me go from poor credit to excellent credit. This book is titled Strategies to Master Credit. I put everything in this book, everything that helped me go from poor credit to excellent credit. All of the information is in this book. So I want you all to purchase this book. A lot of you have already purchased it, but it's available currently right now on Amazon.com and also MasterCreditBook.com. It's titled Strategies to Master Credit. You want this book. It has all the information needed in order for you to go from poor credit to excellent credit, or just simply maintain your good or excellent credit score. So get the book ASAP. And if you want something more in depth, you could take the course over at www.wateryoursoil.com. It's more in depth. There are actually chapters in this course, and it walks you through basically how FICO credit scores come about and how they're determined. And really, once you learn how FICO scores come about and the concept of credit scores, then you're pretty much on your way to either going from poor credit to good credit, or just maintaining a good or excellent credit score. So if you want something more in depth, I have the course over at www.wateryoursoil.com. All right.